Okay, good morning everybody, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, as we are studying together Parashat Shelah, Shelah Lecha Nashim, where Moshe Rabbeinu sends the spies to the land of Israel, and he gives them instruction on exactly what they are to look for, what they are out to search. And the pasuk reads, and let us read together a little bit of the text. Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, chapter 13, pasuk 18. Uri'item et haaretz mahi. I want you to see the land. Exactly what is it? Ve'et ha'am hayoshev aleha. I want you to take a look at the people that are dwelling on the land. Hechazaku he'harafeh. Are they strong? Are they weak? Ham'atu imrav. Are they minimal? Are they few or plenty? Uma haaretz asher hu yoshev ba. What about the land that the people are dwelling on? Hatovahi imra'a. Is it a good land? Is it bad land? Is it fortified? How should we enter? From which side? From the north, from the south, from the east? Just give us the landscaping. We need to understand, golfers, before they play on any tour, any golf fan will know this. They go to the course and they play the 18 holes many times, because they know that you can't just show up. Even if you're the best golfer in the world, you can't just show up on the course and play, because you have to know the demographic. You have to know the landscaping. You have to know the wind. You have to be able to tell, is the rough, is it green, is it the green area, is it sloped, is it where's the sand, etc. Yeah, I'm not a golfer. I'm trying to figure out exactly the verbiage. I apologize over here. But my friend, his friends tell him all the time that he takes mini golf too seriously, but his caddy disagrees. Okay, fine. If you didn't get that joke, I apologize. Okay, fine. Anyways, he has a caddy for mini golf. Okay, fine. So you have to know the lay of the land when you want to be successful in anything that you're going to do, especially spying out a land. You have to know. So Moshe Rabbeinu is over here, and he tells them, find out about the land, find out, about is it fortified or not? Is it fatty land? And then he tells them, pasuk 20, Uma haaretz hashemena hi imraza hayesh ba etz im ayin. Is there a tree or not? Very interesting. He wants them to find out if there's a tree. And then he continues and says, "Ve'itchazaktem ulkahtem beperi haaretz." And I want you to be strong and take from the fruits and bring them back to us. Now it's very interesting, by the way, that Moshe is the one that's instructing them to bring back the fruit. Why is that interesting? Because we know, everyone blames the spies for bringing back fruits. Oh, look, you see, they were malintent. They brought back fruits to gossip and slander the land. But it wasn't their idea to bring back fruits. It was Moshe's idea. He tells them, bring back fruits. Actually, the question really is on the two spies, Yehoshua and Caleb. Why didn't they bring from the fruits? We know that 10 out of the 12 spies carried fruits back. Yehoshua and Caleb did not. It seems to be, according to this pasuk, that they made a mistake by not bringing fruits, because Moshe Rabbeinu instructs them to bring fruits. So this is an interesting question. There are answers to this question to defend, obviously, Yehoshua, and to defend Caleb. Some say that when he tells them, Ve'itchazaktem, it doesn't mean to be strong, but it comes from the word hazakah. Anyone that knows halacha, chazakah means to acquire. Ve'itchazaktem, he's telling them to make an acquisition, to acquire the land. And one of the ways of acquiring a land is by taking of its fruits. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu meant. Not to bring from the fruits all the way back to the Jewish people to show it to them, rather to make a chazakah. Okay, interesting stuff over there. But going back to the words, hayesh ba'etz. Is there a tree? Says Rashi, what is Moshe Rabbeinu concerned about the trees over there? He cares about the landscaping now? About the scenery? Tell me, do they have eucalyptuses? Do they have nice bushes? botanical gardens. What's Moshe Rabbeinu asking for a tree? Says Rashi, based on the Gemara, Im yesh bahem adam kasher sheyagen alehem. Is there a righteous person that will be able to shade and protect the Canaanim, the non-Jews, bischuto, in their merit? Now, we have to remember, there are no Jews in Canaan. So if Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the spies to go see if there's a righteous person, what kind of righteous person are we talking about? A righteous non-Jew. Not talking about a righteous Jewish person. All the Jews are in the desert with Moshe. There's no Jews. It's a righteous non-Jew. So you see, even a righteous goy, unbelievable, even a righteous non-Jew has the ability to protect his people. And that's what he was telling the spies. Go see, are there any tzaddikim that could protect sheyagen alehem bischuto, that could protect the non-Jews because of his righteous acts, because of his acts of kindness. And of course, our rabbis tell us who specifically was Moshe Rabbeinu referring to. Which non-Jew could have been so righteous that would be able to provide shade and protection for his fellow Israelites or Canaanites? Anyone know? Give it a couple of seconds. Which non-Jew? Our rabbis tell us it's Iyov. Iyov, if you know Iyov was one of the 3 advisors of Paro. He was a very righteous man. There's a whole book, one of the 24 books of Tanakh is a book called the book of Iyov, Job, or Job, I don't know. And Iyov wanted to, Iyov was so righteous actually that God was flexing one day. Take a look at my guy Iyov right here. He is the man. Iyov was very, very righteous. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu says. Go see if Iyov's around. Go to the field and see if they have a tree. Okay, that's what he meant by a tree. A tree, the Pasuk says in the first chapter of Tehillim, Vehaya ke'etz shatul al palgemayim. A tree has its roots deep down. It has a strong foundation. It's rooted in the past, but it branches out upwards and outwards. A true tzaddik is somebody that is there, connected to the past, but also living in the future, living forward, looking to make future improvements for the community, for the world, etc. Now, later on, the spies come back. It's important to remember this. And the spies, they say the negative report. And then Yehoshua and Kalev come. And they have positive things to say. So take a look at what Yehoshua and Kalev says. Vayomeru el kol adat bnei Israel lemor. They tell the Jews, Yehoshua and Kalev, haaretz asher avarnu ba latur ota tova haaretz meod meod. The land that we went to see is very, very, very good. Im chafetz banu Adonai. If Hashem wants us, hevi otanu el haaretz. He could bring us there, and He could give it to us. Eretz asher yizvat chalav udvash. It's a land of milk and honey. Ba Hashem al timrodu. Don't rebel against Hashem. Al tiru et ha'aaretz. Don't fear them. Don't fear them, says Yehoshua and Kalev. We got this. We could do it. We could win. They're nothing. We're strong. We have Hashem. You have Hashem. You don't need anyone else. And then he says, Ki lachmenu hem, for they are our bread. Sar tzilam me'alehem, their shade is gone. What does Moshe Rabbeinu mean by those words? Their shade is gone. Says Rashi, maginam vehoskam. Their protection, their shield. Ksherim shebahem metu. The righteous ones amongst them have died. You don't have to worry, guys. They don't have Iyov to protect them. Iyov shehaya magen alehem. You don't have to worry that they're going to have a tzaddik to protect. They don't have a tzaddik. The only tzaddik they had, the only good guy in their entire country, Iyov, is dead. It's amazing, by the way. Look how powerful one good person could be. One good person in this generation would have been able to protect maybe the entire Goyim, Canaanim, from the holy Jewish people. If there was one good guy alive, it could have been that they would have been protected. So we have to be very careful, by the way, just a side point, when we see people that are very righteous, when we see tzaddikim, sometimes we wonder, Ma ahanu le rabbanan, What are the rabbis doing for us? What are these tzaddikim benefiting us? They don't give us money. They don't give us, they give us protection. Who knows how many attacks are being constantly thwarted off and diverted because of the tzaddikim that we have living amongst us. We don't know. We'll never know. Right? We only know of the ones that, end up, making it, or that get pushed off by other means. But there's many attacks that maybe we're being protected from constantly that we don't see. There's nisim that we see, there's nisim that we don't see. Matter of fact, when Acham Ovadia passed away, the head of Hezbollah said, now is the time to attack Israel. They lost their spiritual Iron Dome. This is who's saying this? Not a rabbi, not a Jew. The head of the Arabs, of a terrorist organization. He understood that when we have a tzaddik, that tzaddik protects the people. So it says Yehoshua and Caleb, Sar tzilam me'alehim. They lost their shade. Their tzaddik is gone. There's no more protection. They're good. We could hit them now. The Ramban on these words, by the way, Sar tzilam me'alehim, has a very Kabbalistic idea. I'll share it with you, but don't ask me questions on it. Okay? Don't ask me questions on Kabbalah things. I don't understand them. Okay? One day maybe. But I'll share with you at least what he says. Says the Ramban Nachmanides. We know that there's a holiday called Sukkot. Sukkot is a 7-day holiday, and then it enters Shemini Atzeret. The last day of Sukkot, the 7th day of Sukkot, is also a day called Hosha'na Rabbah. According to the Kabbalah, this is a very powerful day. It's actually the last day of the signing. We know that we have our Rosh Hashanah as the day of judgment. The signing is Yom Kippur, but the truth is, according to the Kabbalah, the real signing, you could still appeal up till Hosha'na Rabbah, which is around 12 days after Yom Kippur. And then you have Hasidim, they made Chanukah, and I'm sure there's other due dates, there's different checkpoints, there's always, chances to change. But according to the Kabbalah, to the early sources, Hosha'na Rabbah is the due date of the Khatimah, the verdict that we got on Rosh Hashanah. The Pasuk says, Ariel sha'ag mi lo yira. When a lion roars, who's not afraid? If you were in the forest with a lion, no cage, we would be shivering, right? A joke is told of a zoo. The Jewish zoo, they were looking for a monkey. Their monkey died, and it's right before the Chol HaMoed, very heavy traffic season, and they needed a monkey. Monkey is the main attraction. They couldn't find the monkey. They went to the black market, everything. There was no monkey available. So they went to where? They went to the newspaper. They put an ad looking for a fake monkey, for a human being that is athletic and acrobatic and could do swings and everything like a monkey. Well-paid job, and anyone interested, call this number. So this one Jew who's very athletic, he goes, he signs up, he interviews, the guy is amazing, he's better than the real monkey. So he gets the job opening day, he starts swinging back and forth, and finally he's doing such a good job that he loses track of where he is, and he swings and he flips all the way over his own cage, and lands in the cage right next to him, the lion's den. And all of a sudden the lion starts approaching him. And all of a sudden this guy realizes he's going to die. He realizes that he's going to be the lion's lunch. It's over. He's finished. So in the last few seconds of his life, he screams, Shema Yisrael! Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad! And all of a sudden he hears the lion whisper back, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto. Okay, so, you know what I mean? If you were in a lion's den, we would all be screaming Shema Yisrael, right? Ariel sha'ag mi lo yira. When a lion roars, who's not afraid? But our rabbis tell us, Ariel is a nice acronym. You ready? Ariel stands for Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and what's the He? Hosha'na Rabbah. So you see, these are the 4 different checkpoints of spiritual growth of the high holiday season. Elul, the month of Elul, Rosh Hashanah is the judgment day, Yom Kippur, and then Hoshana Rabbah. Says the Ramban, Kabbalist, it's known to the ones who carry the secret of the Kabbalah that on Hoshana Rabbah night, everybody knows this, he says, if you go up to your rooftop and using only strictly the moonlight, finding your shadow, and you'll be able to tell, one will be able to know if they're going to live that year or not. Says the Ramban, go up to your roof and using the moonlight, look at your shadow that your body's going to cast on the ground, and if a person's shadow is complete, then they will be living that year. If their shadow is missing by the head, if the shade of the head is not there, that means they're not going to make it that year. This is what the Ramban writes. Says the Ramban, and that's what it means in our pasuk. Sar tzilam me'alehem. Their shade is gone. Not Iyov, the righteous one, died. But their shade that was supposed to be cast on Hoshana Rabbah, that shade is not there. They didn't have a full shadow. And therefore, it was already decreed that they're not going to make it this year. Guys, we can do it. We can fight them. We can attack them. This is how they explain this very interesting pasuk. Sar tzilam me'alehem. But what does it mean? Ki lachmenuhem. Don't fear them because they are our bread. What exactly does that mean? They are our bread. What kind of metaphor is that? So there are many ways to explain this. I'll share with you one idea. I just want to find the source to give you the name. Rav Bogomilsky brings it down in his book V'dibarta bam, and he says something beautiful in the name of the Al-Shich and the Kli Yakar. When the Jewish people traveled throughout the desert, we know that they had man. The man is their bread. What was the Jewish people's bread every single day? Lachmen, what was their bread? They didn't have, Ezekiel bread, right? Ezekiel wasn't born yet. How could they have Ezekiel bread? Okay, fine. They didn't, right? What did they have? They had man from the skies. Okay. Now we know that whatever wasn't gathered in the morning, the sun would come out and it would melt. So they had to make sure to gather it every single day. And that was the miracle of Shabbat. On Shabbat, double came down and God told them, bring it in. Don't worry, it's not going to spoil. Nothing will be found tomorrow. And these two wise guys, they went out, right? We know Datan v'Aviram, and they tried to hide bread from the night before to show everyone that Shabbat, it did come down, and you don't have to keep Shabbat, etc., etc. Now the spies, they come and they instill fear in the Jewish people about the inhabitants of the land of Israel. They're telling them that they are strong, right? Yehoshua and Caleb have to now undo the damage. So what do they say? They say they are our bread. They are like the man. What happens to man? If you leave man out in the field, it's going to melt. Says Yehoshua and Caleb, their shade is gone. They don't have Iyov. Sar tzilam me'alehem. And when there's no shade, you're out in the sun, you melt. And therefore, what they were saying, just like the man melts in the sun, these goyim, the Israelites, the Canaanites in the land, are going to melt because they don't have their protector. They don't have their shade. Sar tzilam me'alehen. Unbelievable stuff over here, my friends. So this is really, really cool to see how the whole parasha connects the different phrases, the different verbiage. Just coming back to one more point over here in the beginning of the parasha. Right after they say, Moshe Rabbeinu, says, I want you to go see if they have a protector, right? Hayesh ba'etz. And who was he referring to? He was referring to Iyov. Now, the spies, what do they come back and say? They come back and they say to Moshe Rabbeinu, to the Jewish people, Eretz ochelet yosheveha hi. What does that mean? It's a land that devours its inhabitants. What do they mean by that? There's like sand, like quicksand. There's earthquakes. What do they mean? No, they meant there's people dying. It's a land of disease. It's bad, just air over there. Everything over there is just no good. You can't live. And these are healthy giants. They're dying from the pollution in the air, right? These are the first global warming people, I guess, right? Too much pollution. They're not taking care of the environment. So what's the point of going there? We're all going to die like them. Eretz ochelet yoshevea. It's a land that people are dying left and right. Now, the truth is, people were dying. We have to ask, why were people dying? Was that a normal occurrence? Was it a one-time thing? Our rabbis say that Hashem actually wanted to protect these 12 spies from being noticed. You know, spies are very easy to find, to see, to find out about, to detect. When Yehoshua sends 2 spies to the land of Israel later on in his life, when he's the leader, just 2, they're caught, they're noticed, they are spotted out, and the king sends people to Rahav. We heard you have spies, so they had ways of finding out. They had people looking out for spies. They had it. You see, they did it with Yehoshua. So how do you have 12 spies going now and not being noticed? The only answer our rabbis tell us is that Hashem protected them by bringing a plague, an epidemic that killed left and right, non-stop, all of these Canaanim. And because they were dying constantly, so the citizens were preoccupied now with burying their dead. All day long, they're burying. They don't notice now, they don't have the freedom to notice 12 spies roaming around. So that's why it was really a bracha. Hashem was protecting them. But they saw it as a curse. They spun it. Oh, Hashem, he's killing everyone over here. What kind of business is this? Oh yeah, that's the thank you I get. I'm trying to help you over here. According to what we said though, it turns out beautiful. You know why people were dying right and left? Because their shade was gone. Iyov died. And once Iyov died, not only was Iyov protecting them from the attack that the Jewish people were going to make into the land, but Iyov was protecting them even from regular natural causes of death. Regular death, plagues that were coming, Iyov was protecting them. And once Iyov died, they started dying out even without the Jewish people. Unbelievable. So now it makes sense why people were dying constantly at this point in time. As well, there was a custom in the ancient time to, when somebody died who wasn't righteous, they wouldn't bury him right away. I'm going to tell you something very interesting, okay? When someone would die, they would save his body, and they would wait for someone righteous to die, and then they would bury them together. Their belief was that if someone's righteous if someone's buried with someone else who's righteous, so you're able to go straight to Gan Eden with that person. That's what they believed. That's what they believed. Right? They wanted to die. Maybe that's what Bil'am meant when he said, Uti ahariti kamohu. When Bil'am says, I want to die with them, maybe he meant this. If I die by myself, then maybe my own merits are not enough. But if I die and I'm buried with the tzaddik, then I go up with him. Right? That's what they believed. Now, again, there is a certain idea that if a person lives the way he's supposed to live, we also have certain ideas in our religion that the tzaddik can help us. But again, that's much different. That's also it's not clear what that means. And it doesn't mean that you can live a life that you want. It means you have to follow the life of that tzaddik. They believe as long as you're buried at the same time with the tzaddik, it's enough, and you get straight access. He pulls you with him up to Gan Eden. Of course, it's nonsense. Because Iyov died, so now everyone knew Iyov was a good guy. So everybody grabbed their dead bodies that they were storing for months and months and months, and they started following to the funeral for Iyov to bury their dead along with Iyov. So that's another reason of why there were so many burials. It's not that everyone was dying at that time. It looked like everyone was dying, but really the deaths happened sporadically, they were just being saved so that they could be buried at this point in time together along with the tzaddik Iyov. So I think, this is really so powerful to see how all this comes together. The message for me, when Moshe says to go see if there's a tree, Hayesh ba'et im ayin, is there a tree or not? And he's referring, like we said, to tzaddik, to Iyov. Where would you think to find a tzaddik? If I was Moshe Rabbeinu, I would tell him, listen, I want you to go to their synagogue, go to the church, and see how many tzaddikim there are. Right? Go to their places of worship. See how many good guys are there. That's not what Moshe says. What does Moshe say? Moshe says, go to the field. Why go to the field? And I think Moshe is teaching us a very powerful lesson. A tzaddik is not somebody who hides himself and secludes himself in the sanctuary. That's not a tzaddik. A true tzaddik is somebody who is out there in the field with the people, providing fruit, providing benefit, providing shade for those around him. It's not enough, my friends, that we are righteous. It's not enough that we are tzaddikim. It's not enough that we are learning. That's good. But then you're a very selfish tzaddik. They once came to the rabbi and they said, Rabbi, this fellow, he's a good guy, huh? And the rabbi said, unimpressed, he's a tzaddik in a peltz. Peltz in Yiddish is a fur. Okay? He said he's a tzaddik in a fur coat. The students were confused. Rabbi, what do you mean by that? He has a lot of money, he owns fur coats? What do you mean he's a tzaddik in a peltz? The rabbi said, no. You see, when it's cold, there are two ways to provide warmth, to attain warmth. One of them is by wearing a fur coat, and the other one is by lighting a fire. Both of them provide warmth for the one wearing it. The difference is that when it comes to coats, it only keeps you warm. Lighting a fire provides warmth as well for those around us. This tzaddik, said the rabbi, I believe it was the Kutzker, he's a tzaddik in a fur coat. He only cares about himself. He only keeps himself warm. He only keeps himself religious. He's not interested in helping other people. And this was really Noach's mistake. Noach, the difference between Noach and Avraham was that Noach goes on the ark and he is saved. But how many people does he bring with him? Nobody. Zero. Just his immediate family. He did zero outreach. And therefore for a year, God punished him to have to feed and provide for animals, teaching Noach what it means to think of someone or something else. Avraham Avinu, on the other hand, was out with the people, doing what he can, giving, providing shade like a true tzaddik. Etz shatul al palgeh mayim. Summer is an amazing opportunity where we are interacting with new people, with different people that maybe not as fortunate spiritually as we are. We're going to our summer homes, we're going to our camps, we're going to vacation, wherever in the world we may be, and we see other people that maybe they weren't educated. The summers are beautiful, provides us with an amazing opportunity to be able to do what the Torah tells us in the Parashah, to be a tzaddik in the field, not a tzaddik at home, not a tzaddik in your shul, a tzaddik in the field. You saw a video, you heard a class, forward it, share it. You're going to minyan, maybe there's someone, you'll be surprised. You never know how far one word, one comment, just a suggestion. Of course, it has to be done the right way. I told you, I had a student in Flatbush when I taught in Flatbush. I had one student, Toby, good kid. And he calls me up one Friday. He says, Rabbi, I have a friend very far, not connected, but I thought if he came to you for Shabbat, he may like it. Do you have room at your Shabbat table? I said, of course, a Reform kid, he wants to come. He says, yeah, he was never in an Orthodox synagogue in his life. I said, wow, never came to an Orthodox synagogue, 100%. Bring him over. So he gives him my address. He texts me. He says, yeah, I'll meet you in shul. Okay. So I'm sitting in shul Friday night and I'm looking for a Reform kid. What does a Reform kid look like? I don't know. So I try to look for someone that was looking maybe out of place of a Orthodox synagogue. I see this one guy. He's wearing like jeans and a t-shirt. I said, this is the guy. So the whole time I'm like, I nod at the guy, like Shabbat Shalom. The guy nods at me once. Then like a few minutes later, I nod at him again. The guy starts looking at me like I'm a weirdo. Finally, at the end of prayers, the guy walks out. I'm like, oh no, I messed it up. I made a bad first impression. All of a sudden, this other guy in a suit comes over. He says, hey, Rabbi, I'm Alex. It's this completely other kid, and I'm like making myself look like a fool by nodding to this other guy. I don't know what he thought today in 2022. Who knows what he thought? Either way, this kid came over, and I had a bunch of people over for Shabbat. And the whole time we were singing, we were speaking, he was asking questions. We had an amazing night. And anyways, the night came to an end. Everyone went home. I don't know what happened. I never followed up really. A few months later, my friend Toby calls me up. He says, Rabbi, you'll never guess. I said, well, what happened? He says, remember that kid Alex that came to you for Shabbat? I'm like, oh yeah, the Reform kid. Whatever happened to him? He says, well, I just dropped him off in a yeshiva in Morristown. I'm like, what? He's like, I just dropped him off in a yeshiva in Morristown. I'm like, what are you doing in yeshiva? He's like, between the Shabbat that he came to you, he got so inspired. Other Shabbats, other events, other classes, the guy wants to go to yeshiva. He wants to become a rabbi. And he's on his way, Baruch Hashem, to orthodoxy. He's on his way to learning, to growing. From what? One kid suggesting, come to shul, go to a rabbi's house, grab a meal. Who knows? And I didn't even do anything, by the way. I didn't do anything. Anyone that came to my house for Shabbat knows. It's not anything that I say or I do. It's the company. It's the other people that are there. It's the beautiful inspiration that they get from the Shabbat table. So this is, my friends, Hayesh Ba'etz. To find out if there's a tree. We all need to be like a tree. Not a tree in the shul. A tree in the field. A tzaddik that lights a fire. That provides warmth, inspiration. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity being passed around today. But we must spread positivity. We must spread chizuk, growth, inspiration, warmth, and provide connection for all those that we come across. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat. And God willing, we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.